Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Grant Smith Ellis. Sometimes people call me Grant, Howard Cosell, David Attenborough, Towel Smith Ellis, and I'm here with you for the Day 12 recap of the John O'Keefe and Karen Reed trial. Ladies and gentlemen, there were absolutely devastating moments for Karen Reed during the morning session when a state trooper, a former Marine who served on the Presidential Helicopter Squadron, Marine 1 out of Quantico, it was also where the FBI is. Oh, ladies and gentlemen, it was devastating as pictures of John O'Keefe's blood-stained clothing were held up for the jury. First, as you can see, ladies and gentlemen, it was John's pants and his clothes.
Thank you.
John's pants stained from when he hit the ground after allegedly being struck by Karen Reed. Karen, who was drunk driving after 9 vodka drinks with a BAC of between 0.14 and 0.28 on January 29, 2022 at precisely 12:32 and 16 seconds a.m. when John's phone never moved again from the spot on the lawn where he lay dying, allegedly at Karen's car's hands, well, Karen's hands at her car's back tail lights collision spot impact from a head injury on that lawn and from hypothermia as indicated by reddening of John's pancreas. Ladies and gentlemen, let me show you what happened next. Then the jurors got shown what was absolutely devastating. It was John's bloodied shirt. Oh, ladies and gentlemen, no remorse. Hold on one second. No remorse on display from Karen.
Could you show the back as well, Trooper? Thank you.
Mr. Brennan, could you help assist?
You saw it there, ladies and gentlemen. John O'Keefe's bloodied shirt held up, John's face there over the trooper's face, but you can see the shirt held up for the jurors. Ladies and gentlemen, it was an intense moment. And then we got a new pope. Ladies and gentlemen, that happened during today. An American pope who sides with, who's very close to Pope Francis in some regard. Almost 10,000 views on the YouTube Towel stream. Ladies and gentlemen, we had the Karen Cam. We broke records on the Towel YouTube stream today. And then, the moment the Towel friends requested for the recap, the interaction between Aidan Kearney and revered journalist, John DePetro. Oh, ladies and gentlemen, let's take a look. The moments were intense. Mr. Kearney got turtle walked. Ladies and gentlemen, Aidan Kearney got turtle walked by the state police for this interaction. Let's watch it happen. Ladies and gentlemen, just in, my name is Grant Smith Ellis. There has been a confrontation between journalist John DePetro, one of the most respected and venerated journalists covering the Karen Reed and John O'Keefe trial, and Aidan TurtleBoy Kearney, a man who is not even in the courtroom today or on the media list. He is a blogger and a turtle. Ladies and gentlemen, we are going to watch this confrontation in real time. This has just unfolded. My name is Grant Smith Ellis. It's lunchtime. Just minutes ago, the police seem to have gotten involved and separated Aidan Kearney as he bothered a journalist named John DePetro. Ladies and gentlemen, here we go. We're going to watch it live. My name is Grant Smith Ellis. Let's see it unfold.
The Karen Reed. See if this link works. Nope. I don't know. Oh, okay.
There's Kearney.
Let me see. Try this.
John, why
All right,
do you
hold
lie
on.
every
I'm
day?
live right now.
Why do you lie every day?
Oh,
You go
now
in there
listen,
and you lie. We read your tweets. You're misrepresenting
Hardly.
what's happening.
Now
No,
listen.
you're lying. You're lying, John. How much are they paying you to lie?
Now hold on. Listen, Turtle. All right. Do I have to get? You're not supposed to be doing this. You're not supposed to be doing this.
Doing what?
And on top of it,
You don't like when people ask questions?
Right now.
You ask Karen Reed questions.
I'm live read right now.
What? So you're allowed to ask questions,
All
but
right.
I'm not?
Yeah, but she's not broadcasting and I am. So.
No, I'm
Hey,
broadcasting.
Trooper. Officer. You come here just for
I can't talk to you?
No, not when I'm broadcasting.
Okay.
You're not supposed
Wait,
to do
why
that when
can't I
I'm
do that? Why
broadcasting.
can't I do that?
Yeah, there is a provision where you're not supposed to interrupt someone who's over broadcast.
Who said
As
that?
a matter of fact,
Who said
you know
that?
it's an FCC policy.
An FCC
So
policy.
actually, you're certainly the words of a domestic terrorist.
I don't want that.
Yes, you do want that.
No, not at
So, now listen, I've asked you 4 times, and you can look it up. You're not supposed to interrupt the broadcast. You go over there and do that. I'm live right now, right? And he is coming over and interrupting the broadcast. And I'm actually on the radio, and there's a policy that you're not supposed to interrupt someone doing a broadcast like this. So, could you ask him to move along?
Well, I was just trying to ask him a question.
No, he's interrupting. You can wait till I'm done at 2 o'clock. You can wait till I'm done at 2 o'clock.
Am I not allowed to ask him a question?
No.
I'm not trying to start it.
Yes, you are trying to start something.
I'm not going to
If
get
you want to talk to me, I'll talk to you at 2 o'clock.
I definitely don't want to make it a big deal.
You are trying to make a big deal.
Well,
So,
okay,
you
no,
want?
yeah,
Why don't you
okay.
just let me do my thing?
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, I'll get going, but what the heck, John?
Yeah.
Just ask me a question.
Why don't you go ask when someone's doing a live broadcast, you can interrupt.
He asked Karen
Oh,
Reed the other
here we
day
go.
when we were in court. He asked her
Oh, yeah. Why
about
don't
OJ.
you just
Remember you asked her about OJ? You go with
Absolutely, I
OJ
did.
frame?
Yes.
So you can ask questions to the camera.
She wasn't broadcasting. She wasn't broadcasting. What part of that? I know that all your fans are on there.
Well, what law
I'll
says
talk
that
to
I can't?
It is a violation. It is. That's what this is for. So, I don't want to talk. It's a domestic terrorist.
Ladies and gentlemen, you saw it yourself. Aidan Kearney turtle walked away from John DePetro on day 12 of the John O'Keefe and Karen Reed trial. The turtle walk seen round the world. Ladies and gentlemen, the headline of today's day 12 recap, despite the devastating images of John O'Keefe's bloodied shirt after the impact allegedly from Karen's car while Karen was drunk driving with a BAC of 0.14 to 0.28, 2 to 4 times the legal limit, and backed her car up at 12:32 and 16 seconds a.m. to 24.2 miles an hour, reducing to 23.7 miles an hour at the moment of impact with a 4.7 degree steering wheel correction to the right. Ladies and gentlemen, this was the moment of the day. The brawl to settle it all. I got so excited I knocked my own headphone. The brawl. I'm a wrestling announcer from the 1980s in the Boston Garden. The brawl to settle it all, but there was no actual brawl. It was John DePetro simply owning Aidan TurtleBoy Kearney. And then, ladies and gentlemen, we saw a very intense overview of Karen Reed's 9 drinks during the evening of January 29, 2022. Let's take a look at the highlights.
Time stamped 12 minutes behind actual time. So when it says 9:03, when it is 9:03, the frame will be time stamped 20:51, which is 8:51. Right, it'll be.
So there's
Mr.
Karen's
John
first
O'Keefe
drink.
wearing the gray.
There was a timeline, ladies and gentlemen. There was videos for each segment of the timeline.
Video, we see the defendant get handed her second cylindrical tall style cocktail glass while she finished the first one and then picked up the second one.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, let me remind you that it wasn't just this evidence against Karen Reed. It was her own words, ladies and gentlemen. Her own words that have been showed to the jury. And if you missed it, day 11 yesterday, jurors went home before today's testimony even began. The clip heard round the world, ladies and gentlemen. Let's watch it. Refined by Little Towel, edited in real time with the Karen cam. Jurors heard that Karen said it was Karen or Jen. Jen McCabe.
Absolutely was Jen McCabe. Jen McCabe, it's me or her. Either I'm going down, Jen, or you are.
Just devastating. And ladies and gentlemen, if you're wondering, did Karen's own words about her drunkenness and the amount that the fact that she shouldn't have been driving get used against her? Yes, ladies and gentlemen. And if you're wondering, what did little Karen look like? She's not a little towel, she's a little Karen. What did she look like when she was walking out of court yesterday, ladies and gentlemen? Oh my word, well, I have that for you as well to close our day 12 recap. And if things go quickly enough, we may even get to see Karen's exit from court today. But ladies and gentlemen, things are not looking good for the Karen Reed defense. My word, this little towel has been monitoring closely for you. And day 12, even some of the pro Karen Reed commentators, the Karen Reed movement down to 4 to 11 supporters per day. Even some of the pro-Karen Reed commentators are saying it looks like we're heading towards conviction. Ladies and gentlemen, now look at this. Look at this, ladies and gentlemen. We have Karen Reed's lunchtime comments before we go to her comments after yesterday. Karen Reed's lunchtime comments today when she heard the news Michael Proctor won't be called. Why? Because Hank Brennan brilliantly got ahead of the Reed defense and had Yuri Buchanan read Michael Proctor's text about Reed. If the Karen Reed defense is forced to call Michael Proctor because the Commonwealth does not call Trooper Proctor, the trooper fired for his unseemly text about Karen Reed that had nothing to do with the evidence of Karen's guilt for killing John O'Keefe, then Karen Reed's defense would be forced to call Proctor, and they couldn't ask leading questions. They would have to direct Proctor. Who, what, when, where, why, questions only. No yes or no questions. Then Hank Brennan would get up to cross a state trooper. It would be a very surreal scene. Here's what Karen Reed said when asked about that news over the lunch and recess today.
Karen, do you think they're going to call Trooper Proctor or not?
Nope.
Will the defense?
TBD.
To be determined. It's unlikely, ladies and gentlemen. I tell you, it's unlikely. Now let's look at Karen's remarks from court yesterday. Karen was an even more humbled figure after court yesterday. It was humiliating, ladies and gentlemen. Let's watch, ladies and gentlemen. Hold on. Where was the clip? Where was the clip of Karen Reed? That's not the clip we wanted. We wanted the clip of Karen Reed when she pushed by the media and refused to answer. I think it was indeed a little bit later, or it was just part of that clip. Give me 1 second, ladies and gentlemen. Here it is. Oh, this was her actually talking. We want to see the one where she pushed by and had nothing to say. What did you have to say?
You or Jen McCabe, any reaction to that clip?
I'll have more of a reaction when you hear the whole thing in context. That was 7 seconds because there was a lot of context.
Well, tell us more about it.
You'll see. Their case is almost over, so you'll see.
A stunned into silence Karen Reed after court yesterday. We don't have Karen's reaction from after court today. But ladies and gentlemen, day 12, you've seen the recaps. The biggest moment of the day by far, the strange interaction between Aidan Kearney and John DePetro, the revered journalist. And ladies and gentlemen, my name's Grant Smith Ellis. I'm going to end this recap, and I'm going to go back and talk to the towel friends. Follow more live coverage tomorrow, Friday, May 9th, starting at 7:30 a.m. Eastern. YouTube.com/Grant Smith Ellis. Join that chat you see flying by on the screen. Become a wonderful honorary towel. Meet a wonderful group of towel friends and support Towel's budding public information service. YouTube.com/Grant Smith Ellis. Towel friends, I'm back with you. Hello. Okay, here's what we must do, towel friends. We got caught up on the full testimony. We got caught up on all the different parts of Hank Brennan's brilliance. If you missed it, ladies and gentlemen, if you missed it, we didn't even have to include it in the recap. But listen, ladies, Hank Brennan's decision to utilize Yuri Buchanan to read Michael Proctor's text messages was brilliant. Ladies and gentlemen, if you missed the moment, we'll quickly jump right to it. Here's the clip. We didn't include it in the recap, but it was a moment of brilliance.
You turn the page. Does it begin to, one more page, please. Does it begin to reflect the email chain?
Yes, it does.
Do you remember this email chain?
I remember seeing it when I reviewed it. I don't remember the intricate details of these messages.
Do you remember that photograph?
I don't.
Okay, could you turn the page? Is there text?
Yes, there is.
Okay. Without citing the phone numbers, I'd like you to cite the author of the text, and I'd like you to read the text to the jury.
And we're not going to listen to that vulgar language. Ladies and gentlemen, that was the moment Hank Brennan put the Karen Reed defense in a bind. You could, and that's putting it lightly, ladies and gentlemen. to say that Hank Brennan put the Karen Reed defense in a bind. And there were some excellent moments on the cross of Yuri Buchanan. Alan Jackson asked open-ended questions. He said it's an open-ended question at that, which is unlike me around 3:07 p.m. Jackson was feisty with the witnesses, saying, "I'm sure you don't," and making comments. Oh, ladies and gentlemen, Alan Jackson even objected to his own cross. It was ridiculous. But yes, okay, ladies and gentlemen, I think and fellow towels, we've learned that the better, more rested towel is going into the next day, the better things are for all towels involved. So first of all, let's begin by ending the towel poll. Let's see what folks thought of Alan Jackson's Go Nowhere cross. And then from there, fellow towels, I will read off some of your comments that you've left and all your wonderful participation. And then we'll say our goodbyes. It has been an honor in so many ways to spend this time with you, little towels. You know that it brightens Towels Day, even in the face of perhaps existential crisis or whatever. Towel will always feel better when talking to you all. Yes, towel friends, that means so much to me. And all of you towel friends who are new to the channel, let's see how we're doing subscriber-wise. I think more towel friends. There are even people out on the boats in Nantucket telling their friends to subscribe to Towel Channel. And we're up to 853, ladies and gentlemen. We are truly making incredible progress. We will soon be thousands of towels strong across X and YouTube and all of the different mediums, because universal towel love and tolerance and compassion is the way to a better world. It's true, though.